Hey guys, do you know someone considering renting their property as an Airbnb? I have worked with Rental Advisor for over a decade, and Rental Advisor provides free rental projections to prospective owners, realtors, and investors for any property in the US. So if you know someone considering getting into the vacation rental industry, have them email management@myrentaladvisor.com to get their free revenue projections. So they're beginning here just talking about the fact that Roe v. Wade is potentially going to be overturned here, and they're kind of discussing what they refer to as a moral dilemma. So we'll start here with that clip. And if you guys can't hear it, please let me know.
A moral dilemma is when there are competing goods, on both sides, and you need to choose which is the higher good. What's really at stake in this debate?
I think naturally, if we look at a pro-life perspective, right, we see that this life that is vulnerable is being, in terms of abortion, just discarded, as you described. If we look at the pro-choice side, we can see how a woman's autonomy and her body matters, and all of the implications. I think many would say, well, for a child to be born into a really difficult situation, is that doing good for a child, right? And so just questions, I think, about value and whose values, and to just really take those seriously.
To me, that does not play well. It's as if you have equal and competing issues going on, and we don't. We have the baby's right to exist, the right to live, versus this woman having, a challenge for a period of time. And I've had 4 babies. Don't get me wrong. I know how hard that challenge can be. But I think trying to make them equal is rather disingenuous. And then I hear this argument, and we hear this in our work, where people will say, "Are you doing any good by having that child born into a difficult situation?" I mean, frankly, that's rather absurd. Oh, you're right. They would have rather be dead. What were we thinking?
Yeah, I've always
really.
That's honestly, it shocked me to be like, wait a minute here, you guys. Why would you even on this podcast say that? Yeah. Why would you tender that as a legitimate sort of like moral dilemma? You're talking about killing a baby. It's like, well, the baby might have a rough life.
Right.
Well, it's like, all right, well, my 2-year-old might have a rough life. When I lose my job, my wife gets divorced, and I have all this stuff. Let's just off it.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This is not a question about of legitimate. Oh, well, we got these competing goods. It's and the other thing's like, well, and what about the autonomy of the mother? What about the autonomy of the baby?
Right. The existence. I mean, you have existence versus inconvenience. And they try to make those equal. Oh my gosh, not even close.
I'll do devil's advocate a little bit for this woman. It's possible that the tactic she's taking is, well, I want to acknowledge and respect the deeply held feelings of other people and bring them into the conversation also. But I would say this isn't the way that you do it. If you actually are pro-life, then be pro-life. Because she sets it up as, well, obviously we're coming from a pro-life perspective in the LDS faith. But when we look at it, it's like, just because you state somebody's opinion in a very sincere voice, that doesn't mean it's valid. Like, we need to actually look at it instead of just hearing each other.
Well, and there's something to be said for saying, no, that's not a legitimate, there's sort of like, we have to validate all opinions. I'm sorry, some opinions are not valid. They're not only are they not valid, they're abhorrent. It's this idea of, I always like to spin it around and say, if someone, well, I know that you think other races are inferior, and that's if someone
and they do get lower test scores, so there is some,
it's like, you don't look at that and say, this is we have 2 different opinions, and it's like, no, that opinion is wrong. It is wrong to state that a woman's quote unquote choice to do what? Mm-hmm. To kill the baby. I'm sorry, that's not a legitimate choice. President Nelson, our current prophet, gave the seminal talk on the issue of abortion ever given. And everyone should listen to it because it is absolutely brilliant. And let me tell you, I want to just ask you, as we all listen to this clip, does he frame this as a moral dilemma of competing goods?
Now, as a servant of the Lord, I dutifully warn those who advocate and practice abortion that they incur the wrath of Almighty God, who declared, "If man hurt a woman with child so that her fruit depart from her, he shall be surely punished." Of those who shed innocent blood, a prophet declared, "The judgments which God shall exercise in his wrath shall be just, and the blood of the innocent shall stand as a witness against them, yea, and cry mightily against them at the last day." The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has consistently opposed the practice of abortion. 100 years ago, the First Presidency wrote, "And we again take this opportunity of warning the Latter-day Saints against those practices of feticide and infanticide."
So for those of you who think that, oh, you guys are being really harsh and, all this kind of stuff, I just wanted to no, we are echoing what the Lord's servants have said on this matter consistently over time. And they have not minced words, and they have not framed it as a moral dilemma of competing goods. Okay. It's a fairly clear issue. Now let's go on here to clip 2. Let me pull this up real fast.
And personally, like this really is something that I feel like I'm still forming an opinion about. I feel like I can sense that there is so much I don't understand about this issue. And I think a lot of it has to do with privilege.
Okay, hold on. I just want to make a quick comment here. If you're a Latter-day Saint adult who's out podcasting and you still have not formed your opinion on the matter of abortion, what?
What?
Have you not watched everything our apostles and prophets have taught on this matter since forever?
Worldwide, there are estimated to be more than 40 million abortions per year. Many laws permit or even promote abortion, but to us, this is a great evil.
But what impropriety could now legalize that which has been forbidden by the laws of God from the dawn of time? What twisted reasoning has transformed mythical concepts into contorted slogans assenting to a practice which is consummately wrong? It is a war on the defenseless, on the voiceless. It is a war on the unborn. 64% of the world's population now live in countries that legally sanction this practice.
If we accept that a mother can kill even her own child, how can we tell other people not to kill each other? Any country that accepts abortion is not teaching its people to love, but to use any violence to get what they want.
For the wrath of God is provoked by governments that sponsor gambling, condone pornography, or legalize abortion.
Because it may be legal to destroy newly conceived life will never make it right. It is consummately wrong.
From the perspective of the plan of salvation, one of the most serious abuses of children is to deny them birth.
In this next clip, it was shocking to me that the host would claim that this was what he considered the strongest argument for what he calls the pro-choice movement. It was actually, I was pretty shocked by it, to be honest.
But it ignores a tremendous reality, which is there is inherently a sexual asymmetry between men and women.
That makes a ton of sense. I think that's one of the strongest arguments I've seen from the pro-choice side, is that, say we suddenly begin to live in a world where Roe is overturned, it's really not too much of a stretch to see that state of the world as somewhat inherently misogynistic, because women bear such a greater burden. Perhaps you could call it an undue burden compared to men who, at least as I understand it, bear no legal responsibility.
So I'm just going to pause it there. Oof. You're saying that if we don't allow women to kill their babies, we won't have equality, or as they would probably say it, equity, right?
Or the reverse. Yep. In order to have equity, we have to allow the woman to kill her baby. In order to have an equal playing field. We have
that is the strongest argument.
Third.
That's the best you guys got.
Have we strayed so far from God's second great commandment, love thy neighbor, that a baby in a womb no longer qualifies to be loved, at least as the mother's neighbor?
What is happening to our appreciation of the sanctity of human life? Abortion is an evil, stark and real and repugnant, which is sweeping over the earth. I plead with the women of this church to shun it, to stand above it, to stay away from those compromising situations which make it appear desirable.
So do you enjoy the content here on Thoughtful Faith? If so, be sure to hit the notification bell. This ensures that our new videos show up on your feed. Also, be sure to check out our Facebook group called Thoughtful Saints, where myself and others discuss the sorts of topics found on this channel. And lastly, if you think other people would benefit from this video, please be sure to share it.